Hello and welcome to my very first tool repair video. This is the Atlas Craftsman 109 lathe, built between 1941 and 1949. Specifically, it is the 109 206 30 lathe, which means it has this planetary gear right here. See that? Attached to your cogs. And that's going to become important here. As the first thing I'm showing you is how to remove, replace, and pull apart this headstock and this drive belt. Because if you get one, quite frankly, they're most likely burnt out, old, and haven't been replaced in a while. First thing you need to do is get yourself the correct belt. Here's the size that you need. It's the 3 width, that's the 3L, 3 before the L, which means it's 0.38 of an inch long. That's 0.38 and 23 inches long. Thus, 3 for the width and L 230, which is 23 inches for its entire circumference. As a step-by-step guide, first thing you're going to need to do is remove this side cog, because the whole thing is all about this spindle for which this headpiece is all connected together at. To pull off this cog, you're going to need an Allen wrench. 7/64 of an inch. That, my friends, is a standard Allen wrench size, not metric. Yay! We love standard because this is an old Craftsman tool. Pull off this cog, right? So first thing you're going to need to do after that, there's a collar right here. Right, this collar. Spin it around until you see this screw right there, and it's a flathead, so we're just gonna remove it. Now the reason why you got to remove this son biscuit is because when you pull this apart, now this should just slide. Hold on. Wish I had a tripod, but this is my first video, can't afford one yet. Now, if you can see here, there is a key that needs to be pulled out. You can see it right there in the shaft. That's why you have to remove the collar, because you need to push this all the way to the side so you can remove this key in here. All you got to do is press it down and pull it out with a set of needle nose pliers. This key right here, which sits in the shaft, I'm just going to put it there so I don't lose it, is actually what locks into, there's a corresponding slot on this planetary gear setup, which locks this whole thing together. Because although there is this right here, that's a set screw hole, but on the 206 30, this doesn't actually go all the way through to the shaft. So this uses the same shaft and same cog setup as the other 109 lathes, but it doesn't actually attach to the shaft directly. It's not directly connected because it's connected through this planetary gear set. Now that you've got this done, the only other two things that you need to worry about to pull this apart are this screw right here. And what's not actually a screw, it's as you can see right there, it's actually a bushing. And what it does is it tightens up around the shaft so you can actually tighten out the wobble in the shaft and get it a nice smooth rotation. Now here's the other part about this. I don't know about you guys, but here was my biggest part figuring out the problem. This end right here, I had to adjust it. It was actually 1/1000ths of an inch bigger than the rest of the shaft. So this, particularly with these brass bushings right on either side, because there's a brass bushing, as you can see in there, that brass bushing, if it's not both well lubricated and if it's not exactly the right size or smaller, it's not going to slide out. So here's the easy way to fix this. As you can see, I pulled off this set of jaws here. It just screws off, but what that does is that leaves this open to grab onto and actually use it to spin the shaft while it's in here. And the easiest way I found to do that is with a battery powered or some other drill that will actually spin it. And that's my setup for spinning this shaft if it's too big. See, I can get it going pretty good. And just grab your handy dandy neighborhood farmer's file. You can get this down at any hardware shop for about $5 or at your local flea market for about $1 or $2. And I've already done this, so I'm not going to do this again to my shaft because that'd be pointless and actually make it even more so. But I just spin that. By the way, you want to do it in reverse. And the reason you want to do it in reverse is because otherwise you're going to loosen up this bushing right here and everything's going to come apart just that much, much easier in the wrong way. And I literally just anchored it down like that while it was spinning and got a nice even grind. Checked it with my micrometer to make sure, or my gauge, to make sure that it's the same all the way across. So now I don't have a bulbous bell end on this, and I can just pull off. Hold on. Now that I've got the bell end taken care of, the key pulled out, and the collar off, the shaft should just slide out like that. If it doesn't, now that you know that it's now that you know that the shaft will actually go through, I took a 5/8 inch dowel, and I can use it to tap the end of the shaft and persuade it. Now that you have the shaft tapped out, it actually shouldn't take much persuading because you've got the bell end actually ground down to and filed down to the rest of the shaft size, or just slightly smaller. If it's slightly smaller, it won't hurt anything because you're not going to be damaging the bushing and you're not actually depending on that for rotational force, since it's just at the end of the shaft. And that's how you pull off pull out the drive belt. The shaft will come out too, and you can pull out your whole universal gear drive unit. Pretty simple. And if you want to get it, just put it back together in reverse order, or watch this video backwards.